This is just too funny, guys. This is just too funny. The Hollywood strike with the scriptwriters just ended, so I'm not surprised this feels like a movie, and if you're wondering what I mean, let me show you. To start the season, the Warriors were blazing hot, winning 5 of the first 6 games. For a team that couldn't win a road game to save their life last season, the Warriors looked good, winning all of their away games up to that point. 5-1 was where the Warriors were standing at the time, good enough for first in the Western Conference. Yes, and yes was how high the NBA world was on the Warriors. I mean, Klay was hitting game winners, Steph was still as good as ever, and despite a shooting slump, CP3 still looked like the point god. All was well, and the forecast looked like it was nothing but blue skies and green grass for the ones from the Bay Area. But then, a few bad beats, a few close games, a minor injury to Steph's knee, a ripped jersey from Klay, and heck, just for good measure, a Draymond Green suspension, and the basketball community completely loses their heads when it comes to Golden State. What a difference a week and a half can make on perception. I mean, November 5th was when they first lost to the Cavaliers, and as of today, it's the 16th. In the span of 7 games, the narrative went from Killer Klay and Klay Thompson is always ready to stand out to the Warriors' Klay Thompson problem is getting worse, and my favorite of all, from Kendrick Perkins himself, who called for the Warriors to break up with Klay Thompson. Sheesh! In exactly 11 days, the media went from pretty much calling a 4-time champion, Klay, a hero, to suggesting he be traded. Ladies and gentlemen, if that ain't the definition of funny, I don't know what is. But hey, it means the Warriors are doing a great job of fooling everyone yet again, and that's exactly what I'm going to dive deep into here today. Whether on a win streak or a losing streak, being a prisoner of the moment is a huge fallacy that occurs in sports media, especially the ones surrounding the NBA, and I'll prove it. The 2022 Golden State Warriors in the middle of the season went on a horrible losing streak that caused people to go unhinged, calling them no longer title contenders. 2 wins and 9 losses was the record over this period of time, and if you're wondering how bad that is, that's about as bad as the Washington Wizards are today. And yet, what happened when it was all said and done? Another banner was raised. The 2023 Denver Nuggets, to close off their regular season last year, lost 10 of their last 17 games. And at that point, people started questioning how good they really were and even called for the firing of Coach Malone and Jamal Murray. But when the playoffs came around, they completely ran through everyone, and the rest was, as they say, history. The 2021 Milwaukee Bucks, in the middle of their championship season, also saw a bit of turbulence. They lost 5 straight games in a row at one point, then in another stretch of 9 games, they went on to only win 3 of them. Some experts even said at the time that they were quote-unquote on thin ice. Ain't that a joke when looking in the rearview mirror? You can't have the highs without the lows. It's not what happens in November or December, it's what happens in April, May, and June. Now, back to the 2024 Warriors. It's easy to shortchange them and say they suck, it's over, or even trade Klay based on the moment, but this is another prime example of being a prisoner in the moment. Shooters go on slumps. We all know that. Heck, when Steph Curry, the greatest shooter the NBA has ever seen, was about to cross Ray Allen's record and become the undisputed three-point king, he was in a historical slump that had everyone questioning if he still had it or not. Looking back at it today, it's laughable that people actually thought he couldn't turn things around and that it'll cost the Warriors. But they couldn't help it. They were prisoners of the moment. I mean, for a stretch of 6 games, at around the time of that game in New York, here are Curry's stats. 40% from the field, 32% from three-point range, while averaging nearly 5 turnovers per game. Downright horrendous is what those numbers are. Well, in case you were wondering, the answer is yes. That's pretty much exactly what Klay is averaging this season. After getting off to a blazing hot start in the first 6 games of the season where he was shooting like 2019 Klay, he's gone ice cold. This narrative of trade Klay Thompson then gets exponentially magnified when other key Warriors are shooting like hot garbage and the losses start to pile. But the downright truth of it is, the narrative could be entirely different, and we could be here having an entirely different conversation if even 1 or 2 extra shots were made. In that home opener against the Phoenix Suns, Wiggins and CP3 combined for 0 made threes in 9 attempts. Even if 2 of those went in, the Warriors would have won that game. Then against the Nuggets, Klay, Wiggins, and CP3 shot 3 for 15 from distance. Had they even gone for a bad 5 for 15, the Warriors would have won that game. Then against Minnesota, in the game they lost 104-103, Wiggins went 1 for 7 from 3. 1 more bucket from Wiggins there and 1 more bucket from anyone else, and they would have grabbed the W. As of today, Golden State is sitting at a 6-7 record, which again has the NBA world going crazy, talking about trading a 4-time champion, talking about how it's quote-unquote over for Golden State, talking this, talking that. But look, if 1 or 2 extra shots were made with the help of Lady Luck, we literally could be looking at a 9-4 record for the Warriors, which would be good enough for a top seed in the West. A prisoner of the moment experience is what surrounds the Golden State Warriors today, and everyone is being fooled. And that was never more apparent than when Steph went out again. Against Minnesota, the 2-time MVP hurt his knee on a drive to the rim. Luckily, the MRI results showed that nothing was damaged as he sat out for the next few games. But we've all seen this movie before, right? If not, let's rewind the tape. Back in March of 2022, if y'all could recall, Marcus Smart dove for a loose ball and subsequently took out Steph Curry. For the next 12 games, Steph Curry would only watch from the sidelines, and while everyone thought this was the end of the Warriors for the season, what actually happened was ultimately the birth of playoff Jordan Poole. I know he gets a lot of slander these days because of his performance in 2023 and with what's going on with him in Washington, but the truth is, without him, the Warriors don't win a chip in 2022. The Poole party was absolutely instrumental in that year's championship run with his ability to slice through defenses and hit deep, deep shots. The time Steph spent away from the game was absolutely instrumental in Poole's development from being an average player into becoming a borderline star. I mean, the man went from averaging just 17 points per game with secondary defenders on him to averaging 26 points with primary defenders on him en route to scoring a career high at the time of 38 points. And so far this season, look at what happened while Steph was briefly sitting on the sidelines.
Nothing going. Bajensky working on Conley with the left hand. And draw the foul.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's still way too early to definitely say, but a future Warrior star may have just appeared in Brandon Podziemski. The man almost single-handedly took out Ant-Man and the Timberwolves as a rookie, for crying out loud. His numbers look good, his instincts look on point, and right now, he looks like he could be a true backup guard to Steph Curry and the Warriors. But the truth is, this could never have happened had Steph been in the game. It's not just the pod man either. Because of the necessity of doing more, CP3 looks to have woken from his shooting slump and is shooting back to his natural averages. Wiggins and Klay, Wiggins and Klay, Wiggins and Klay. Once these two wake up and figure things out, which they will, the energy is going to shift. And y'all are going to see truly that the Warriors fooled everyone again.